Hey, welcome back to the Art of the Comeback. My next guest is Mr. David Imonitie. Mr. Imonitie is the top earning African American in network marketing. But not only that, he is the number 8 income earner in network marketing around the world, making over $1 million a month. Now, how does he do that? He serves hundreds of thousands of people around the world with his message. And his real goal is to serve and impact 1 billion people. David was a part of a company that I joined shortly before I left my career. And I remember seeing him on stage, and just his information was so insightful and so inspirational. He had a CD that's now been changed into a book called Conceive, Believe, and Achieve. And in that, he shared key insight on holding on to your beliefs and a dream. So as I was going through my challenging times, I listened to that CD over and over and over again, at least 200 times. And I remember saying to myself, one day I'm going to have a conversation with Mr. Imonitie, and I'm going to tell him exactly what he did for me. Last year, I saw him at a Bob Proctor conference. So I got the opportunity to watch Bob Proctor and David Imonitie and sit with him and learn from him over that 6-day period. I can't wait for you to get this insight from him. So here we go. One of the things that Wallace D. Waters talked about in The Science to Get Rich, he said, the hardest work that man is called to do is to hold, sustain, and consecutive thought. And he said, if a man can do this and focus on the truth, regardless of appearances. So when I was going through my, I remember watching y'all on stage, and I was all the way up in the nosebleeds because I could only do, at the time I didn't have money though. That's before I really ran out and hit the bottom. But I would listen to, your stories of the process. And you and I talked about this last year at the event that we attended. And I thought it was funny because I was successful and I was going to be rich. I was going to be a millionaire in 2 months selling coffee. And, I didn't understand the process. I could see the vision of who I was going to be, or actually who I'm now on track of becoming. But I didn't see the dirty middle. I didn't know that I was going to have to lose it all. And really what it was, Mr. Imonitie, is I couldn't be who I am today and carry out the mission of who I am today with who life made me. So when we talk about being blessed and we're praying, I typically tell people, God can't bless your imposter. That's not who he created. That's who life made you. So do you have any advice? I mean, I don't know if that's your thing or if that's my thing. What advice do you have for people who are looking to become wealthy, but they're not paying attention to their character right now?
Yeah, I mean, characters, that's going to be everything. That's what's going to carry you through the tough times. Charisma is one thing. Character is really toughness. If I was going to really take a word and to categorize what character means to me, it's going to be toughness, because who's to say you deserve it? What price did you pay? And that price is building up your character, all that failure that you went through. And that's why, words, we should be glad that our words don't happen right away, right? That there's a lag, right? So what happens in that lag period is where most people fall out, where most people quit, because they don't want to go through the minutia. They don't want to go through the process. They don't want to grow through the process. I started this journey 16 years ago. And I failed my first 5 years. And then I finally got to 6 figures. But 6 figures was not the destination. It was part of the journey. Then we got to, multiple 6 figures, and then 7 figures, multiple 7 figures, and so on and so forth. Now it's multiple 8 figures, and it's 7 figures monthly. Well, the person I've had to become over the last 16 years had to build that character, had to put the work ethic in, had to develop the faith, develop the belief. And that's that and period, right? God said, let there be light, and there was light. So that and period, what are you doing in that and period is going to be critical. Are you developing? Are you growing? Are you getting better? Or are you complaining? Are you crying? And one thing I believe is that God doesn't respond to cries. He really responds to your faith, so that's what I decided to really work on.
I hope people wrote that down. When I think about the hitting the bottom, and I thought that was just the bottom, but I kept going. You know what I'm saying? Like, first I sold the car. Look, either I sold it or they were going to come get it. How do you want to tell the story? So to be the six-figure earner, the MBA, the African-American, 13th black, blah, 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 blah. None of that stuff mattered because sometimes we hold on to the external things, you know, having the expensive artwork and living on the golf course and having these things. People think that things make you happy. And when I had nothing for a long time, I mean, but I was not a willing participant in my rescue. I was like the children of Israel. This probably could have took 3 months, but it took 3.5 years because I'm hard-headed. So talk to people who are in the midst of losing and how they can come back up as opposed to falling down, you know, I think to the bottom and rising back up.
I think what you're focused on, what you're giving your energy to. Are you giving your energy to what's going wrong? Are you giving your energy to where you were? I think that's the biggest challenge for a lot of people. You know, if I'm making $100,000 a year and that's the height of what I've been able to accomplish, and for whatever reason I lose my job or I lose my business, whatever, and I drop down to 30, what most people are thinking about, they're thinking about how can I get back to 100? They're thinking about how did I get down from 100? So their minds are not focused on really what is it that they want. So what I learned when I went through my downturn was I decided to create a whole new model. I decided to create a whole new life that far exceeded what I'd already accomplished. So I didn't look at $100,000 a year, if that was the case that I was in, or $1 million a year. For me, it was $2 million. That was the height. When I came down from 2 million to 300,000, I decided, it didn't happen overnight. It took me about 6 months, but then I decided that I'm going to create a goal that is so much bigger than what is it that I've actually accomplished. I'm not going to be focused on what I lost. I'm not going to be focused on where I was. I'm going to create a whole new picture. I'm going to create a whole new model that made $2 million a year obsolete. That made it, you know, that's peanuts. Something that was so big and so, oh my God, you did this. I created a whole new model, a whole new person to go after that made $2 million a year seem very low.
I love it. When I think about if I would have heard this conversation 8 years ago, and I don't have any regrets because I think for me it had to happen so I could show, or that's at least how I sleep at night, so I could show people how to come back, you know, how to come back from that. System was struggling. And I was arrogant, and life made me somebody completely different. And now I've been humbled by my ways. So when I think about hanging on to who we used to be, right? Like, and I thought that making $100,000, you know, 120 was a lot of money till I started meeting y'all, and y'all are making like $300,000 a month, and I'm like, wait a minute, this is peanuts. This is madness. Like, I'm not really making that much money, but there's always another level. So when I think about how people are holding on to their titles, right? Like I was holding on to who I used to be and to who I thought I would get back to, and like you talked about, superseding that and far exceeding, where I'm gonna blast past that, you know, that $120,000 a year person who was only thinking about certain things. So what advice do you have for people on, and I think it's about breaking the limits off of their minds of who they can become?
Right. Yeah, I think you've gotta expose yourself to different people. You know, if you're the biggest fish in the pond, then you're not going to grow, right? You're not going to get any better. So when you expand your association and start hanging out with people that are doing far greater than you, and or where it is that you want to be, then that's going to stretch your mind. And a mind that has been stretched to a certain point can never come back. But humility is important. You know, if you don't have humility, the higher you rise without humility, the greater the fall. So I've just learned that is essential to long-term success. And that there is a way to be humble, and that way is to remember who the source is. And I know the source is God, and then always remember where you came from. So I never forget the food stamps. I never forget the first car that my mom purchased when we moved here from Nigeria. We called them Mercy. I don't forget the blue Malibu. I called it the blue boo boo. I don't forget those times. I don't forget sharing, a junior bacon cheeseburger at Wendy's with my upline. I don't forget those times. So, and then I'm not overwhelmed with the success that I have now, because I'm exposed to far greater, and I know that there's more that God has for me. So that's very, very critical.
Thanks so much. One of the things that I learned from you and the leaders and the leaders that I've been exposed to who have a higher net worth, you have a higher calling, but you actually give more. So I remember watching you. I think you gave away a couple 100,000 or 1,000, I don't know, it was like 4,000 or 5,000 pair of shoes to the children in Nigeria. You said, I was out, everybody was barefoot, I'm going to put shoes on them. So, and now your giving and the things that you contribute to have become so much more greater with your, I believe, foundation and things that you do. So it took me from the mindset, again, this is what you talked about, of being around other people who do different things, who are doing greater things. And I said, oh, so if I become wealthier, I'm going to give myself permission. If Oprah can be worth $3 billion, Christy Rutherford can be worth $3 billion. I mean, what does Oprah have that I don't have? And again, that's belief, but it's also the higher calling. So to see you use your money for good gave me permission to be rich, so I could start to think about how I was going to use my money for good. So what advice do you have for people who think that, all rich people are evil, which is what people say is outrageous, but giving themselves permission to be wealthy so they can be a greater blessing?
Yeah, I mean, you have to. And, if you're the type of person that says, well, you don't like money, well, don't let that be an excuse not to make it. Make it and then give it away, because there's a lot of people out there that can utilize those resources, resources for better health, better schooling, better accommodations, health care. I mean, it's so much can be done. I've partnered up with a company that provides light through solar panels, that provides clean drinking water through a water filtration system, also provides a mosquito net, because that's one of the main causes of malaria, mosquito bites in Africa. And partnered up with that company, invested to multiple six figures with that company to bring that type of aid to the people of Africa. So many different things that we're doing to help people. And you can't do that unless you have gone out and created some level of wealth. I think the ultimate multiplier to money, most people don't know this, is to give it away.
Yep. I love it. So in the last few minutes, can you tell the audience about your Believe Nation, of the private community that you created, and what your goal is to impact 1 billion people around the world?
Yes, I'm excited about it. I'm truly, truly excited about BelieveNation.com. It's a powerful social media achievement platform. Social media has taken over the world, obviously. And, although it's done some good, I think it's also done some harm as well, because there's a lot of information out there. Some are positive and some are not so positive. So I wanted to create a platform that had an environment of 100% positivity, 100% about belief and faith, and how a person can really learn how to believe. So we created daily success habits that we take people through. So a lot of my trainings and strategies and tactics are available in Believe Nation. Also created a social media feel to it, to where now you can actually go on there, you can post pictures, you can comment, you can share your goals now with like-minded people that are pulling for you, excited for you. You get a chance to be a top ambassador by referring other people to be a part of Believe Nation. So it's a lot of fun. I've got a 15-year plan to get to 1 billion. We're going to be building an app So it'll be available on your phone where you get notifications. It's in its infancy stage right now, but I know what the end is, and that the end is 1 billion people will be impacted. Now we have a medium, a way to actually do that, and it's very positive. So I'm excited about it.
Even in its infancy stages, it's awesome. I'm a member of Believe Nation. I believe that everybody should be a member of it. I've watched your videos. I told you last week that I was listening to the Insight while I was sitting on the balcony in the Bahamas, and the lady who was waiting for her food was like, I was just inspired. And I said, BelieveNation.com, baby, go ahead. It's free. So, and you talk about in the intro of how people treat free, but I think that that's just a part of who you are and your give back to the world. I mean, the intellectual property and the insight that you give, people pay, and I have paid, right? $10, $15, $20,000 for that. So thank you so much for doing that for the world. Thank you so much for showing up and saying yes to my interview. So I just thank you for just being who you are in the world, and I definitely appreciate it and look forward to having more conversations with you in the near future.
Absolutely. I thank you as well, Christy. Keep rocking and rolling. Keep being that light to the world, and super excited for you.
Thank you.
All righty.
All right.
Take care. Bye.